Jared Atadiro, a mysterious disappearance. On October 2, 1909, at around 11:30 a.m., two fishermen stumbled upon a young boy while fishing at a campsite on the Big South Trail, part of the Arapahoe and Roosevelt National Forests in Colorado. Although encountering a child alone in the wilderness was concerning, the fishermen noticed a group of hikers about 80 to 90 feet ahead. Assuming the child was part of that group, they briefly spoke with him before he ran off toward the hikers. That child was 3-year-old Jared Adito, and tragically, this was the last time anyone ever saw him alive. To understand how Jared ended up in such a precarious situation, we need to look at his father, Alan Adito. Alan was a single father, raising Jared and his 6-year-old sister, Jocelyn, after his divorce. Earlier that year, Alan had become deeply involved in the Christian Singles Network, a local religious group. By October, he was hosting 11 members of the group, along with his children, at a resort he co-owned with his brother. On the day of Jared's disappearance, the children were eager to visit a nearby fish hatchery with the group. Initially hesitant, Alan reluctantly allowed them to go after being assured by the group that they would stick to the hatchery and return promptly. However, the planned visit unexpectedly turned into a 15-mile hike along the Big South Trail, starting at 10 a.m. Taking two young children on such a long and unplanned hike without their father's permission was the first mistake. The second, and far graver, mistake was the lack of responsibility for the children. No one in the group explicitly took charge of Jared and Jocelyn. Everyone assumed someone else was keeping an eye on them. To complicate matters further, the group split into two, a faster group and a slower one, making it nearly impossible to track the kids' whereabouts. About 90 minutes into the hike, Jared was seen by the two fishermen, who noted that he ran toward a group of hikers. It remains unclear if this was one of the two groups from the Christian Singles Network or another group entirely. Regardless, this was the point where Jared vanished. It wasn't until 12:15 p.m. that the group realized Jared had been missing for over an hour. Panic ensued. Some members rushed back to the resort to inform Alan, who was devastated and drove to the trail, repeating, "They lost my baby." Meanwhile, the resort manager contacted authorities to report Jared as missing. The search effort quickly mobilized. Rangers, professional searchers, dog teams, trackers, a dive team, and even a helicopter scoured the area. The sheriff initially believed finding Jared would be straightforward, noting their experience in such rescues. However, despite their efforts, Jared remained missing. Tragically, even the helicopter involved in the search crashed, injuring its passengers. By October 8, after 5 days of intense searching with no leads, the search was called off. Jared's disappearance became a national story, prompting the Colorado governor to sign the Amber Alert Plan into law. However, Jared's case remained cold for nearly 4 years. On June 4, 2003, hikers Gary Watts and Rob Osborne discovered tattered clothing and a small sneaker approximately 500 feet above Jared's last known location. Realizing the significance, they immediately contacted authorities. A more thorough search followed, and 10 days later, human remains, a tooth, and part of a skull were found. DNA tests confirmed these remains belonged to Jared, along with the clothing he was wearing the day he disappeared. Although this brought some closure to Jared's family, it left more questions than answers. Theories about what happened to Jared abound, but none fully explain the strange details. Paulette Guevara Farah. On March 21, 2010, the Guevara family returned from a trip to their home in Mexico. That evening, parents Lizette and her husband tucked their two daughters, 4-year-old Paulette Guevara Farah and her older sister, into bed. They had no way of knowing it would be the last time they would see Paulette alive. The following morning, the family's nanny, Erica, entered Paulette's room to wake her but found her bed empty. She searched frantically, overturning the room in desperation, but Paulette was nowhere to be found. When Erica couldn't locate the child, she alerted Lizette, who quickly contacted authorities to report her daughter's disappearance. From the very beginning, the case puzzled investigators. Paulette had severe physical disabilities that made it impossible for her to move or leave the house on her own. Yet there was no evidence of a break-in, no signs of foul play, and no obvious explanation for her disappearance. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. As leads grew cold, the Attorney General's office released missing person posters with Paulette's photo, distributing them throughout the region. Lizette's sister, Arlette, turned to social media, sharing Paulette's pictures online. The posts quickly went viral, and the case became a national headline. In an emotional appeal, Lizette even appeared on television, pleading with potential abductors to return Paulette. She promised no charges would be filed if Paulette was left in a public location, like a shopping mall. Despite these efforts, there were no breakthroughs in the case. 9 days later, on March 31, the mystery took an even darker turn. Paulette's lifeless body was discovered back in her own bedroom, wedged in the gap between the mattress and the foot of the bed. The revelation sent shockwaves through the community. How could the little girl's body have been in her own room for 9 days without being found? The circumstances surrounding Paulette's death raised numerous questions. The house had been searched extensively by professionals, including search and rescue dogs trained to detect human remains. Yet, they failed to locate her just feet away from where she had last been seen. Decomposition produces a powerful and unmistakable odor that should have been detected by anyone entering the room. However, no one, neither family members nor investigators, reported noticing any foul smell in the days following Paulette's disappearance. In the days after Paulette went missing, Lizette gave interviews from Paulette's bed, sitting directly on top of the mattress, where her daughter's body was eventually found. According to the coroner's report, Paulette allegedly crawled onto the bed herself, slipped head first into the gap between the mattress and the frame, and suffocated. The official narrative suggested that her death was a tragic accident. However, the evidence presented to the public told a different story.